Hello and welcome to this episode of the You, Me and ADHD podcast. I'm your host, Callum McCurdy, and we have a great conversation with Jodi Venton Harvey all the way from Bristol in the UK. We've just wrapped that conversation and it was really fun. It was a good time. I really enjoyed talking about how ADHD for Jodi was sort of that missing piece of the puzzle, and she was diagnosed at a time when she was working, and she talks through what that experience was like with a very supportive manager and what that meant in a team of colleagues who just got her, right? We talk about links to mental health and how diagnosis can be validation for hunches and things we've always suspected but never quite able to put, that piece of the puzzle in place. We talk about connection and our brilliant ability to build rapport with quite a diverse group of people, seemingly different or unrelated people as well, and how we can hold that rapport and really work a room.
Yeah, I have to ask, what's a doozy?
Oh, a doozy's good question. Welcome everyone to this episode of You, Me and ADHD. I've got a real doozy for you. What is my evening? I don't know when this is going to be put out, when we're going to publish this one, but it'll be during the day, so this will make no sense at all. But we've got my new best friend, Jodi Venton Harvey, on the line, all the way from Bristol in the UK. Jodi describes herself and also on her LinkedIn profile as a strategist, a coach, and now she's going to be known as a culture specialist. I cannot wait to get into this conversation because she's got amazing earrings, and I reckon that's quite symbolic of the talk we're going to have, because they're representative of a maths symbol. Now, I'm terrible at maths, so this could go one of two ways: either be the best conversation we ever had, or it could be me completely out of my depth. So let's see how we go. Welcome along, Jodi.
Thank you. Hi, how you doing?
Very well. Now, you've got yourself a coffee and a smoothie. What was in that smoothie?
The smoothie, which we put over there now, it was all sorts of great things.
All sorts of great things.
Protein, peanut butter, milk, oats. It's pretty good.
Wow. Yeah.
It's in the morning over here.
Yeah.
I must say, you built up the whole pie earring thing way too much. Also terrible at maths.
Puts people off the scent though, right?
The symbols, they're so great.
Yeah.
Algebra would be great if it was just, I didn't have to learn it. But yeah.
And matching your nail polish too, right?
Yeah. I have to ask, what's a doozy?
A doozy? Oh, a doozy's good question. Sort of a Kiwiism, I guess. A doozy means brilliant. Like we've got an absolute banger, if we could say that. Yeah. That's going to be great. And we're already recording, so let's get right into it. Jodi, very, very keen to hear your neurodiversity journey, I guess. What's your story?
Okay, so it's such a difficult question, because suddenly my brain is like, wow, everything, and in the beginning, I was born. So I guess the journey is something that obviously I've experienced it my entire life, but I didn't know that's what it was, really. I knew I was on a journey, though, as we all are in life. But I actually only got diagnosed last year, so I'm 33, and yes, it was something that was kind of like, it was really obvious, and it was
to you, obvious to you, or obvious to everyone else?
Obvious to everyone else, yeah, and to me, but also not to me at all. So I sort of, there would be jokes made. You know how people say, like, if they like things to be tidy, they're like, oh, I'm really OCD. And they don't mean that they've been diagnosed with OCD and that it's genuinely, an actual disorder that they suffer from every day. They just are alluding to that as being an extreme version. So I'd be like, oh, I'm a bit ADHD. And I wouldn't really think about actually that, there was a lot of truth in that. And when I was diagnosed, it took... there were reasons for doing that, but actually there had been little bits of feedback, and actually in a work context there was I was getting the same struggles again and again and again, and I just sort of got to a point where I really felt like I was in a good place in my career. I was starting to get into my career and doing work that I really love, and it was like, why am I being held back by these really basic things? And I'm trying really, really, really hard, and I'm putting like 100% into something, and I'm getting like 10% back, and that doesn't make sense.
No.
Usually if I put 100% into everything, I'll get like 100% back.
Yeah. Got it.
So it led me to that. There must be another reason. I had an amazing boss at the time as well, who I'm close to. We've got a really good relationship, and we were on a work trip in Spain, and she was like, "It is like you're a 12-year-old boy with ADHD," and I was like, "Yes, that is exactly it. Like I really do feel like that person." But it was in kindness and kind of, and it just made me think. I think I'm going to go and have a look at this, because it might be the missing jigsaw piece.
Yeah.
It turns out it was.
Yeah. Okay. So how was the I guess just going back a wee step, what were the things that gave you a bit of a clue, and also gave your boss an idea? Can you remember some specific events or examples?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because I don't, especially when you get a late diagnosis, I don't know what's ADHD and what's just inherently me, and actually I don't think that they're exclusive either.
Well, no, because I totally agree that we're not our ADHD, but we are. Like, it's a massive part of who we are, like the big things, the extremes, but also the tiny little intricate elements of our personalities. It's all part of it. We wouldn't be us without ADHD, right?
Yeah, and I feel the same with gender as well. So something like being a woman is incredibly part of my identity, but equally it's not the only thing that defines me. So I think it is about how you... So it is tricky, and I can imagine from the outside it's kind of like, so wait, what? Like, this is really important to you and it's part of your identity, but I need to be careful about. Things like, so I work in agencies, timesheets, doing sort of work that requires doing work over a length of time. It's hard to explain, because there's a voice in my head now that's like, I've heard other people say before, like, no one likes timesheets, no one likes boring work, no one likes doing work over a long period of time.
No, but I get it. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, timesheets were my nemesis as well. We had a billing system. I worked for a big accounting firm, sort of consulting firm, and the billing system, just accounting for my time, because I have time blindness, so I would just lose track of what I'd done or how I could allocate, but also just using the system going, this just doesn't work for me, getting completely lost in it, right? And I totally get it.
So there's that, and it was the thing about the timesheets where, again, in other areas in my sort of progression, we're doing great, but from day one, I was having the same problems with timesheets, like either not filling them out on time or filling them out incorrectly, continually making mistakes, and it just didn't make sense, because everything else kind of wasn't reflected in other areas. Also things like when people say, when they're quoting for a job, and they're like, how long do you think that will take you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't tell you. And they're like, but you've done it before loads of times, so how long will it take then? I don't know. I really don't know. So I know that it takes me about a day to do a workshop outline. That's like, and that's my thing where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's like a heuristic, I know. So one day. But if there's anything else on top of that, what about slides as well? Or what about if you were to create this? And what if I'm just like, it could be any time. It could be like a year or an hour. And sometimes, I'll be allocated a time to do some work. Maybe I'll get a day. And I've done it in like 2 hours. Yeah. Just like in the zone. I've got all this energy. I've got all these ideas. I'm ready to go. And it just comes out and it's amazing. Yeah. Right? And then other days are just...
It's just dragging. Yeah.
Or I'll just do it, I'll sort of procrastinate for ages and then do it in the last hour, because again, another thing that was great about my boss, really, she would give me jobs, like very quickly. She understood how to get the best out of me and how to play to my strengths. So she would give me jobs that needed to be done with quick turnaround, tight deadlines, creative work, stuff that would maybe require lots of research, so pulling information from lots of directions,
Uh-huh.
rather than giving me a report, or rather than giving me something that wouldn't need like an explosion of all the strengths in different areas.
Mm-hmm. Is this the
Is that your question?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It doesn't matter what the question is. I've forgotten what the question was. Like, it doesn't matter, but it was something about your journey and about work. And but the beautiful part of that is, so was that same boss the one who sort of said, you mentioned, she sort of said with kindness, do you think you might have ADHD? Is it the same person? Yeah. So having an understanding boss is absolutely critical, right? Someone who gets not just gets it, but gets you.
Yes, totally. Oh, 100%. And I've had, in the past before, actually, that I had a boss called Julie. She was, she always said, and she's the other way, so she will always say, oh, I'm Aspergic, she'll say things that are hilariously, slightly inappropriate sometimes, and it's just so good. She's amazing with numbers, and she would always say to me, you think differently, I don't know what it is, but you just think differently, and that's what you bring to this team.
Yeah, great.
So she didn't really know, but she kind of knew. I didn't really know, but I always felt like she made space for that difference, which was amazing.
That's brilliant.
And even after my other boss, Ree, she went on maternity leave, and I had Claire come in, and she was great. And I just told her straight up, look, I've been diagnosed with this a couple of months ago, it means this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never, there was just never really a problem with it. And it does come to, actually, as you say, it's kind of like, okay, this is a thing, and it means I think differently, but it just moves into acceptance, which is really where you want to get to. You want businesses to accept. You want procedures, process, environments, teams to just be accepting, rather than
100%.
It's not about in the beginning it's kind of like, yes, you make adjustments, and things might have to change, and time needs to be sort of ideas of time and expectations will change, but ultimately it's kind of like that's what it comes down to for me. And me personally as well, I have to accept myself, and the diagnosis allowed me to do that.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's really cool, and I want to dive into that as well. I think that it's the realization that you're not broken, the system's a wee bit broken, or just doesn't work for us, right? And I think people getting across the line with that is really important. Another thing that I thought of as you were talking that's completely gone out of my head, but it's around something I like to say, I don't like to say, but I do say, is ADHD is a reason, but it's not an excuse, because you were kind of alluding to, we actually have to take ownership of some stuff, right? We can't be repeatedly late for meetings or late for getting quotes in, those sort of things, and go, I've just got ADHD, it's just the way I am, sort of thing. Like it contributes, but we have to own what can go wrong as much as what can go right with it. Yeah
totally. I say something similar, which is I think this would work with anything, whether it's like depression or some sort of diagnosis, and it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And that really it is really helpful. And I actually, there's only been a select people at work that I've told.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't sort of come out with it, so this will be, I'll probably share this on my LinkedIn, and this will be the first time that I will be saying quite publicly. Because I just decided to tell the people that I really trusted and that I worked closely with, so I thought actually it will be useful for them to work, context for them to know. And I just said things like, please, that just means that, okay, this gives you some, but actually, everyone that I told was like,
I know, it's a bigger deal to us, eh? It's like, I've been hiding this stuff, I've been fudging this stuff, I've felt like an imposter my whole life, and blah 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 blah, and they're like, okay.
They're like, nothing's changed. Like, and it was kind of obvious. But so that was I can't remember where I am now, but that was kind of and I guess taking responsibility for it. So it was a real learning curve for me, because I didn't know, like I said earlier, I didn't know like what's me, what's ADHD, what do I find challenging, and what do I find challenging because of the way that I'm wired.
Mm-hmm.
So that was quite tricky.
I
read loads of books, listened to loads of podcasts. I still sort of consume as much content as I can about it, and I realised that there were some hacks that I could just ask for. So, for example, if you're going to send me a really, really long email to like a project team, just highlight my stuff in yellow, because I will miss stuff. Because again, when you talk about the system being a little bit broken, it's kind of like you want me to focus on that really long email with all the actions on it, but I've also got Teams pinging me over here, I've got a work phone over here, I've got emails coming in, I've got a phone call that I'm aware of is going to happen in 10 minutes, I've got a whiteboard full of stuff here, I've got a window that I'm looking outside of here, there's a person walking down the road. It's like, I really do want to get to your email and I really want this project to be a success, just like you do, but there's every chance I'm going to miss stuff, so please just highlight it in yellow.
And when you... but when you try too hard as well, like you get this long email and you're scanning for your name or something you identify or something, like you miss your name, or you miss a whole lot of other stuff, right? Or you look for your name. Here we go. I'm just projecting this onto you, Jodi, but this is what I do. I look for my name, and if I see my name a couple of times, I think, that's all they must have mentioned me in that email, and so they might have said, Callum, there's 7 points, and I might see 4 of them. Right? Because I'm just going, where is it? Yeah, and so highlighting's genius. So that was one of my questions. Actually, before I get into the hacks, so I'll give you a bit of a primer, some more, how you've hacked ADHD to be who you are or better as you are at work. So there's that question coming up, but I'd like just to cover off in terms of that, the assessment and I guess the formal diagnosis. What was that? Was that validation for you? Was it a shock? Was it because you said it makes sense, but having something like having a label, was that useful?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Because it was a full spectrum of everything. I went really through the change curve, Kubler-Ross's change curve, which I just love that model so much. So it goes into the whole shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, purpose. And at first I was like, oh fuck, okay. Yeah. There was part of me that was thinking, I'm going to turn up this thing and they're going to go, yeah, actually, just do fucking timesheets. Just shut up and just sort your shit out, and and that there was part of that. So there was internal dialogue, which is clearly it exists because of a life of kind of being, told to try harder. Yeah. You've got so much potential, you're not reaching it, you're being disruptive. So that obviously is in there. Yeah. So when they came back and were like, you score quite highly for the hyperactivity, but also the attention, or whatever the two are. Yep. And I was like, oh, okay. So firstly, then there was this feeling of slight relief. Okay, the jigsaw, that was the piece, or one of the pieces. It does fit. Okay, quite satisfying. And then it's sorry, I've just forgotten. What was the next bit that I thought? Oh yeah. So the next thing was kind of I actually felt quite sad. It definitely went to a place of oh, what a shame. What a shame for younger me. Oh, yeah. And I did feel sorry for my teachers. There was definitely a thing where I just thought, well, they didn't know. They didn't have the training. My mum didn't know. And everyone's doing the best they can, right, with the resources they have available. But then there was part of me that was literally fuck all of you. Yeah. In a sort of system school setting kind of thing, because you kept telling me this thing and you kept putting on my reports if only she did, and it's just you expecting me to sit down in a line for 8 hours a day and be quiet and be interested all the time. Interested in and I had some amazing teachers and I did really well in their subject, but then I was actually chatting to my mum about it yesterday, and she said there were teachers who got you and there were teachers who didn't. And again, I understand the ones who didn't, because I was probably quite difficult a lot, so I get it. But again, it's sort of I just get pissed off at this Victorian system school that we still seem to, and I have no idea really what it does. Yeah, rote learning, standardized testing, fit in a box, memorize all this stuff and recall it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I really don't. No. I don't do that work at all. I don't know who does do that at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's something, but
So what do you?
I went through this whole thing. Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
You carry on. Okay, you're taking a sip, so I'm going to ask that question. Which is gone. Damn it. No. Some teachers got you. What do you think they saw in you? Those good teachers. What do you reckon they noticed about you, or just got about you?
I don't know. That I genuinely sort of like. God, I don't know. There's a question. That I did want to do stuff. I was interested.
Yeah.
I had a lot of energy and I had a lot to give. It's just, it is annoying probably when you interrupt people, because I wasn't doing it to like dominate a conversation or a situation or anything like that, or because I'm an only child or whatever. It's like, actually, I just couldn't. If I don't say it right now, I'm going to forget it, and I'm so excited about this thing. I just need to say it, and actually, that's probably really annoying. So, I guess the teachers that didn't get that would just be like, "Oh, for God's sake, just let others talk," kind of thing. And the teachers that did would be like, "I understand this child's got, she really wants to say something, and I'll find a way to kind of enable something." I don't know, like, or whatever. So I guess and that's where you have like great intuitive teachers who can work with different styles and different types of people.
And I think, intuition's a big part of ADHD as well. Like, there's just a knowing. I think, like, there's a sensing, and so when you come across other people like that, especially adults who get you, you're like, well, this is like you do connect with them. I think connection is a big part of ADHD. I'm also dyslexic, and that comes with there's a high sort of empathy level radar with that, and so the mix of ADHD and dyslexia, like all neurodiversities are like everyone has their own experience of it, right? There's no two are the same. We don't experience it necessarily the same symptoms, but ADHD and dyslexia are all about connecting with the person because it's experience based. And you're talking in terms of ADHD is about the experiences you have with people, and you're you coach, but as I gather, you kind of facilitate a whole lot of things, because you've mentioned a couple of times around workshops, and if you have to do a plan for the day or for a session that'll take you a day to do. So do you reckon you were drawn to that type of work partly because of your ADHD in hindsight, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely, because people are really now-based.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
When you have a person in front of you, it's happening, it's live right now. So I love that, and I get, I'm an extrovert person, so I get my energy from other people. And I had a review of your website, and everything you were saying, I was like, oh yeah, I feel like that as well. People are amazing and weird.
Yeah, and we need more weirdness. Sorry, I cut you off. Just keep going. Ignore me. I just said we need more weirdness, right? I think we got to. It's the difference that is what we need to harness, not our sameness, because it's our difference that allows us to make the difference. Yeah.
That's it. But I think that all exists. I think I think generally, especially sort of as people grow into adults, they put these weird like rules and restrictions on things. And, put a tie on and become quite uniform in lots of senses. And actually, it's like, I just think, talking about workshops specifically, well, planning for a workshop is one thing, so I can sort of do it, but when you get into the workshop, anything happens, right? Yeah. And as long as the brief's being met and the purpose of the workshop is being answered, then actually it doesn't matter what happens or how many items on the agenda you get through, because what's incredible is that in a workshop scenario, whether it's virtual or in real life, you're creating this very quickly this flash of a culture only belongs to those people, right? And it's an amazing mix of the individuals that you have in that room, and you can create a safe psychology by certain things that you do and things that I might share, or questions that come out in the beginning of the workshop, and how you allow people to introduce themselves, and you can very quickly build a strong rapport in a group of people who may have never met before, who can really come together and solve problems, important problems, business problems, but you've got all the minds kind of that are allowed to really think and offer things. And if you can create a space where, you know, bad ideas are welcomed and expected, then you're going to make some progress really, really quickly.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure. Yeah.
And when people can let go of that, how am I supposed to behave? What am I supposed to say? I need to come across as being professional. I can't get it wrong. It's that stuff. When that goes, then oh my God, it's magical, because then you've just got people being people, and it doesn't matter what gender you are, how you identify, what sexuality you are, where you come from, what colour you are. It doesn't matter. Actually, what you have is this micro culture of people, and they're with a purpose, you know, and something to do, and that's what I love about workshops.
Yeah. Each with their own sort of unique experience of it, where they might do the same thing or be in the same room, but have their own sort of twist on things. And I love the way you got so lit up talking about what you do. Like that was awesome. That's cool, and it just goes to show that. And as you were talking, I was thinking that's so my experience as well. That you can have a session plan, but if we go way off the reservation, it's fine, because you know you can always bring it back, or you can you can find some goodness and allow people to get real value out of what we're talking about or what needs to be talked about. And you're right, as long as you're meeting the agreed outcomes or what was stipulated that, you know, we need to get to or achieve. But how you get there, like the flexibility in that, I think is some. I think there's some real magic in that, and ADHD's totally adds to that. Like, and I think gives that confidence that we can go off piste a wee bit and bring it back and always bring it home, sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know, there's saying that at the same time, I still really benefit from structure. I really benefit from something that allows me to put ideas into a format that makes sense to another person as well. It's just going back to the kind of being in a position where things are live, so being interviewed or something like this, it wouldn't occur to me to prepare for something like this, although I did look at your website. But there's no point in me writing down loads of answers, because I know that it will be fine when you ask the question, and then something will come into my head, and that's cool. And you know, in like a job interview, it would be the same. But also, if somebody asks me a difficult question in a webinar full of people I don't know, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Because I just enjoy it. I like the challenge. But there are other things that, you know, I would just have a meltdown about, and there would be other things that perhaps most people would be like, but that's really simple, so how can you do this but not this? And you know, so it's just,
which is why we need to sort of uncover, unlock and unleash neurodiversity in our workplaces, right? Because it's all there. It's like, how do we use that? If everybody's having this sort of base layer of trying to figure out, solve problems using that same thinking, and we've got people who experience things a wee bit differently, or don't even maybe identify with the problem or see it as a problem, we can go, well, we can get around that by doing this that other people can't see, right? And so it's just it's almost like a recalibration of organizations we need. We just harness some thinking that's going on there. Yeah. What do you?
I really do believe that that's not going to happen until we have boardrooms that are diverse in every sense. You know, gender, ethnicity, backgrounds, ability. Like, I think, you know, I work with lots of companies, and you know, you've got really brilliant HR or comms teams or engagement teams or whatever, who they know what the right thing to do is, but actually are being blocked often by senior leadership. And I'm just really bored of it. Like, I just think there are so many chief execs out there that just need therapy, and I just think, you know what, you're really responsible for a lot of people's lives here, because again, just like I mentioned in that kind of workshop scenario, when you've got, say, 10 people in a workshop, you are responsible for the culture and the safe psychology and the everything that really happens in there between that group. And I think if you're a person in a leadership position, it's the same sort of responsibility, but
100%
hours a day, years of their lives in your organisation. So many times I come across, you know, leadership and organisations where they say one thing and do another, and that's basically the definition of manipulation. It's pretty gaslighty. And so people are really trying to do their jobs and do a great job. And then they're fighting against something else, which I think is potentially an issue that actually is somebody else's responsibility they should be dealing with, and they're not. And it just creates this real sort of confusion and quite tricky cultures. Again, so like in my line of work, we deal with obviously culture and people and stuff like that. And yeah, I just think it's difficult for people, regardless of any neurodiversities or not. So again, for somebody, like you and I, dyslexia, ADHD, or something that anyone else might experience, kind of like, can there really be those adjustments made truly so that an organisation can collectively accept this?
Yeah.
Whilst we still have neurotypical, non-diverse people in leadership. I don't know.
No, well, yeah. That was a great response by me. No, well, yeah. The point is, like, I totally agree with what you're saying, Jodi, because you've got it's kind of 20th century diversity and inclusion that we're still trying to tackle, like gender, ethnicity, etc. And we haven't solved those. I think looking at neurodiversity as an add-on or the new way to tick off your diversity and inclusion and even sort of belonging stats, that's not the way to do it or the reason for doing it. I do think there's a real there's a financial or performance gain to be achieved there by harnessing neurodiversity, because it doesn't matter your gender or your ethnicities, etc. Like, everybody's got a brain. Some people are wired a little bit differently, and it's harnessing that different wiring that means that, sure, if you need to tick a box, go for it, but make sure you're doing it for the right reason, and so that it values the people that you're including as well. And how about we look at how those people go about solving problems or interacting with others, or what they focus on, what really lights them up, and how can we make those, as you say, little accommodations in the workplace, which don't cost anything, and are the right thing to do, and are pretty easy. So let's just be a bit more open to that. I think you've talked about sort of the neurotypical leader. You're kind of alluding to the still a white male led or dominated leadership stratosphere, I guess, which in your country, I imagine it's the same. Certainly here in New Zealand, it's changing. There are some very high profile differences, different examples of leaders there, but I do think the key to it is we need leaders who are unafraid to lead difference and not surround themselves with mini-me's, clones, or minds like mine from their perspective. Just looking for difference and where they can be challenged rather than where they can be, where their life can be made easier. I think it's a bit of a cop-out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and you've got, your Prime Minister's done some pretty great things, and yeah, it does depend, I think, on what that leadership or that board, what they're driven by, what they value. So, for example, if they're driven by, innovation and creativity, then maybe they would look towards the different thinkers in the organisation.
Yep.
Right, okay, what if we brought people together and did this brainstorm to solve our business problems or whatever? Great. But actually, if they're driven by, and what they recognise is hard work and long hours and bring in the money and be on time and be a time sheet, all that sort of stuff, if that's what their measure of success is, then it's going to be very difficult for somebody who
for sure
isn't going to be successful. It's a bit like saying, if you're an 8th grade student, then great, then that makes you better. But actually, it's like, what about being a D grade student and having other things to offer? Like, so it depends on what measures of success are, but also there is it's gone.
That's cool. Well, one thing no, that's brilliant. I love this because I've forgotten everything you've said anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? Hey, what's written on your mug? What does that say?
So oh my god, I went to a book spa the other day.
A book spa?
Oh my god, it was the best. So when she first said, I've got your books bar. This was like a couple of years ago, but it all got delayed because of COVID. And in my head, I was thinking like, what the hell's a books bar? I was like, all I could think of was like being sat in a jacuzzi, and then like someone's just like throwing us books at you.
Or reading books with really wrinkly pages.
Yeah, just like I could imagine like a normal spa, but it's where there's water, it's just books. What it was at all. So basically, there's this bookshop in Bath called Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights.
Ooh.
And it was so great. You email them, they say, well, what books do you really like? So I emailed them a list of books. I'm very careful not to go into the non-fiction because I've got so many non-fiction books and I just need to stop getting them.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, right, all the fiction books I love. And then you turn up, right, into this really cute, sort of quaint bookshop, and you go upstairs and you sit down at a table and you have like a bibliotherapist, right? Yeah, I know. I was a bit like, really? But then it's great because they talk to you about the books that you love. So they're like, oh yeah, so we're getting this theme of like, you know, you quite like you like a short story, you like a sort of twist, you like a sort of quite odd, sometimes a bit dystopian, culty kind of thing. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I like. And then they go away, they give you tea and cake, they come back with like 20 books. This is the guy that we had, or that I had.
Yeah.
And he was like, right, here's all the books that I think you're going to love. And I was like, have you read all of these? He was like, yeah. And then he talks you through each book and goes, here's why I think you'll like it. Here's why I think it might be something different for you. Because I'd also said, I want to get into more science fiction, but I feel like I have no idea where to start with that. So he found the perfect book ever.
This is genius. Like, how good is the sales pitch? Because you can't... Nice.
So it's called The Employees. I was like, I'm not really sure about non-fiction because all of my non-fiction books are basically called something like that.
Uh-huh.
But it's a workplace novel of the 22nd century, written by a woman. It's not the longest book ever, and I was like, is that a post-it note on the front? Is that what it's supposed to be? I was like, he nailed it. How did he? And my mum, because she came with me, and she was just like, he did so well.
That's yeah.
Yeah. And so I ended up, I've got all of these books here.
Well, that's just the thing. This is what I was saying. Like, this is the genius sales pitch because you couldn't possibly go away without a pile of books. Oh, magic. Did you buy all of those at the book spa?
Well, some of them, these are all the books they threw at me when I was sat in the jacuzzi.
I'll take it.
Some of them, you get some in the deal, in the voucher.
Oh, yeah?
And then I couldn't choose, so I got a couple more. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that.
That's very cool.
I'm not going to take you through them all like you did.
No, that's cool. No, that's genius. Like, I love that. I love how much you enjoyed that, but also I really, I've never heard of that before, and it's such a genius sales pitch as well. And the
that book's out for like a year. So...
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, now there was something there. You said, here's the thing. You said you couldn't decide on the book, so you just bought them all. And I'm interested, and I know we've gone way over time, Jodi, so if you've got a couple of minutes, let's keep going. Because...
Have we gone over time?
We have. That's all good. No, let's keep going. I thought it was an hour.
Oh
yeah, well no, we'll book it. We're booked in for an hour. But yeah, no, we'll. We're not even going to edit this. This is magic.
This is not even linear. Time is not even linear.
Well, there's now and not now, right? So everything that's happened, like what we talked about 7 minutes ago, doesn't exist. You know, and it's, you know, so it's, what is it? It's quarter to 8 at night here on Monday. It must be 8:45 in the morning for you. Right, so
it is, yeah. Although my clock is like about 7 minutes fast.
Right.
It helps me.
Yeah, good.
It helps me access the adrenaline that I need to get the fuck out the door.
So then, okay, are you always 7 minutes early to things, or do you allow that buffer?
No.
Yeah, it's good. I do the same.
I struggle with being early. I was early for this call by 2 minutes because I was thinking I could join now, or I was thinking, why would I not just join now and be early and just be like, oh no, this is great. I think it's because I worry I'm going to be bored. Something I could be doing for 2 minutes, and if I join early, I'll have nothing to do for 2 minutes. So what will I do?
This is magic.
Why do you get this?
No, you're speaking my brain. Like, that's yeah, and how you're overthinking everything. Yeah, it's magic. It's magic. No, what I was going to say is around, you said you struggled to make some decisions, and yet you're a strategist, and strategy is all about sort of making decisions, the stuff you're going to cut out and not do, etc. Like focus on, but also what are we not going to do? So how does that work? Like, how do you be such a good strategist with ADHD? Because like I'm super big picture, like so way above, looking at everything, seeing where everything connects, but the actual, I think when it comes to strategy, the implementation or the execution of stuff, that's where I fall down, right? And so I can see how you can be a great facilitator of strategy, but are you a great strategist yourself?
I think that's a really great question. So what's really weird is that the things that I struggle to apply to my own life, I seem to be able to do so easily to other, like when I can be objective, right? So
the irony in that, eh?
Business comes to me with chaos, right? I'm like, great, let's make order out of this chaos. Let's sort it all out, refine it, make it simple, right? And yet in my own life, I'm like, if there's chaos, I'm like, I can't see out of it. I'll just have to join the chaos. Become this, I don't know. It's really strange. I don't get it. It's kind of, it seems unfair sometimes. But
Yeah, I think so. But also we're great at the things, you know, we you know all the, like, you know how to avoid stuff, you know how not to do things as well, and what doesn't work, and as a result of that, I reckon you know what works really well, and so that's some of the expertise you bring is, I know the stuff that we should focus on, because, you know, use my I don't know 10, 15, 20 years of experience getting a whole lot of stuff wrong to go, this is what we need to focus on, right? And that's that comes with experience, and that's what people buy. Is not just all the wins that you've had, but the even more sort of magnified by 10 or whatever, all the failures and mistakes and that sort of stuff. And you go, actually, because this is what allows me to go zero in on this and do it this way and forget about that step, because that will just chew up time. Because I chewed up 8 years doing that step, you know. So just, and I think, so we get frustrated with that sort of thing, but it's like, that's actually the genius that people love, and that's what where we can add real value, because it's like, I've got all this history, do it this way.
And there's something about the detachment from that, but thinking about so again, like if I am sort of presented with a great quality problem from, I don't know, a client or a business, or even a low quality problem, we'll find the one that sits underneath it, we'll find the root cause, and we'll get to it. And there is definitely something about being comfortable in chaos, familiar with it, where you're not scared away by it. You're kind of like, okay, there's some stuff in here, let's go and find it. You know, just like I feel like we probably have to have done in our whole lives. I have felt like, you know, even at, you know, some pretty dark times and stuff. Yeah. And I've come through, you know, I've battled with addiction, I've overcome other disorders. Like, I have been on a journey, and it's taken a lot of time and effort, money and therapy and all the rest of it, and a lot of work every day to get to a place where now I can say, do you know what, I feel like I'm operating above a foundation level, which is great. Yeah. And, you know, I'm really glad to be able to say that today. That's like awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, there is something about, like, again, not being put off by chaos and actually sort of diving right into it and going, right, let's find out what works. Let's discard everything that isn't useful. Let's kind of park these things over here, and we'll get back to them later. And let's focus on where's the, you know, what's great about this organization? What's great about this team? What's what are they doing that no one else is doing? Okay, great, let's amplify that stuff. We'll fix this stuff. That's fine. That's process, whatever. And then, you know, everything else just kind of discard it. You know, and so again, I guess going back to your question, being able to look at those situations completely objectively. None of my stuff's, well, I say none of my stuff's attached to it. Obviously, we are. You know, I feel like I am my work often. Like my work. There's no work-life balance. I mean, there's no
hell no.
Integration. It's just my lifestyle. Actually, my work is my lifestyle. It's what I love. I don't stop thinking about it just because it's a weekend. So really, it's kind of like, being able to have that separation, because it's something else, allows me to really focus on it and give it my best. Whereas, you know, looking at so for instance, my to-do list of stuff I've got to do today, was really hard because I was like, oh my God, I've booked this thing in here, and then an hour later I put this thing in here, but I factored no time to walk to either of those places, and they're completely different sides of town. Why did I do that again? You know, or okay, yeah, the train is in whenever, and I don't think about when I need to walk to the train station until I'm probably like, fuck, I'm gonna run to the train station.
Yeah.
Now. And it's like, why? That's so simple and basic, you know. And actually, like, why is that corner of doom over there? Why haven't I tidied that up? And that's just feeling really overwhelmingly difficult to do. And yet,
I don't want you to see what's behind this camera. That's my corner of doom just over here. Yeah.
Oh no, and you've got to see it.
Yeah.
My real life board, so I have to look. But I am moving house actually, so it's fine.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But you asked a question earlier that I sort of touched on that I wanted to just talk about was
Ooh, I don't know.
about hacks at work.
Yes. There we go. Good one. I'm glad you came back to that because I'd gone.
Yeah. Because it's been a bit of a learning curve as well. Because again, I didn't know when people would say at work, you know, like whatever it is you need, just let us know. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. This is new to me as well. I have no idea. And it doesn't seem to be many things that exist yet that sort of say, here are a range of things that might be useful that are beyond like colourful post-it notes and use your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, things I've found to be really useful, just sort of in life as well. I quit drinking about 3 years ago, and that made the world of difference.
For your ADHD?
Well, I didn't know it was that at the time.
Yeah.
It was actually just, it was something I had to do for sure. It was, you know, I do think that ADHD types are more likely to search for, I think there's a requirement of more dopamine, perhaps.
For sure, absolutely.
Lacking to begin with.
Yeah.
So that whole like, marshmallow test thing, I'll fail it every time. I don't really like marshmallows, but...
Instant gratification sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Why delay when you can have it now? So obviously that doesn't really work with things like, you know, any kind of addictive substance or sugar or whatever it is. It's kind of like, well, this is good. This is giving me the stuff that I want. This is releasing chemicals that I need. So, I just need more of it.
Yeah, keep going.
So I think it's difficult to have an up button.
Yep.
Exactly. So things I found very difficult to find that middle road. So with some things it's easier to just stop, like abstain. So caffeine is one that I've cut out as much as I can, but I do have days where I will have coffee.
I'm pretty sure there's one beside you right now.
Yeah, I did. But so I have one.
It's Monday. Yeah.
Is it? Yes, it is. It's Monday. So yeah, caffeine and things like, obviously, you know, things that everyone tells you to do. So exercise. I've always struggled with sleep, so I brought in things like, you know, making sure the room was completely dark, using an eye mask, putting earplugs in, like making sure the mattress is really good, getting the right pillow, just as much as possible trying to mitigate all the things that are difficult. And
have you tried a weighted blanket?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one of them too. A gorgeous friend of mine, Lisa, recommended it about 6 weeks ago. Instantly snapped one up, and I cannot believe, like, just it's magic. Yeah, absolutely magic. And I'm a shocking sleeper as well. But and I do, like you say, do everything I possibly can to sort of just sneak in that extra 20-30 minutes of good quality sleep. But I reckon a weighted blanket I think it just settles you. It kind of grounds you. For someone who's a fidgeter anyway, just having that extra weight that makes you go, and I don't know if it's, we could get into relationship with my mum or anything like that. It's not like that, but it's like there's a nurturing and a nourishing aspect to it. It's like I just feel comfortable and safe with this. It just calms me, right? Just having this weight on me. I think it's magic.
I wonder if it's like, you know, like womb vibes. Is it
maybe
you feel contained? Because
one thing, like the room temperatures, like that's a big thing. And what I've noticed with this blanket is it doesn't retain heat, so it's actually always quite cool, which is really nice as well.
Okay, so mine's really heavy. I've put mine in the bed for now because it's warm outside. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
To have it now, so that's interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah, all stuff that you could just Google and it would go, you know, on WikiHow, how to lead a more successful life, and it would be all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Get the right food, sleep, exercise, blah, meditate. I have found though, genuinely, things like, so I'm a real believer in therapy, even when you don't really think that there's not as to be at a deficit, although clearly that does work for that, but actually seeing a therapist, just because sometimes life is tricky and we don't get taught certain things, and our parents didn't know things and school didn't tell you things. It's kind of like, how do you deal with certain emotions? How do you, how do you find resilience? How do you do any of that stuff? So I find it really useful to have a coach, be coached, go to therapy.
That's a magic attitude. Like that's such a good outlook to go, yeah, it's not just about deficits, but it's about positives. And how do we amplify that? But also, how do we, what's the journey of being well and of being good and okay and even happy, you know, and those sort of things, and just noticing that sort of stuff and having that reflected back as well, going, what sort of space are you in, and what's making that so good, and maybe that can help to repeat that or replicate that over time. But I think it's just recognizing that it's all life, and so and therapy has a negative connotation to it, but the way you've just talked about it, Jodi, is it's good, it's nourishing.
It's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
You know what, if I was a football player, I talk about football because we just had the Euros.
Yeah.
Second in.
Well done, silver medal.
But like all of those football players will have a team of people surrounding them. They'll have a nutritionist, they'll have a coach, they'll have a manager, they'll have probably some sort of psychologist, maybe a Zen meditation teacher.
A masseuse, yep.
Right? And that's not because they're bad or they're unwell, it's because they're the best.
Yeah.
And we want to maintain that and keep sort of striving for excellence.
Yeah.
So I just think, you know what a bad week can be like in normal life. It's not like anything like horrendous has happened, but it can just be really fucking bad, and that does leak into the rest of your life. So actually to go and have a therapy session and go, oh my god, and pay someone to listen to you so you can just talk to them, and you don't have to sort of, you know, maintain that level of conversation where you're like, and so how are you? You can just get it all out, and you're like, cleansed and done. It's like, right, so I need some advice. How do I take this on? How do I have that difficult conversation? How do I give feedback to that person? Why do I resent this thing? Like, what's going on? And just to kind of keep that clear, so I can do the best work and be a better friend and a better daughter and a better partner, you know.
And I reckon, I reckon people with ADHD are probably a therapist's dream, because it doesn't matter if you're introverted, extroverted, somewhere in the middle, whatever, both. Once we get started, like we talk and what I do is no. Well, yeah, you have, but it's been amazing, and we'll wrap up soon because you've probably got to, you got to pack up a house. But it's, I think that's that. We talk our thoughts, but also I use talking to hold space. I get lost in conversations with having no working memory at all. Like stuff just goes, and so I kind of have to loop back to it. And I do that by talking, and sometimes I waffle, and but I'm thinking as I'm going through it. So I reckon that's a therapist's dream, like just to hear the randomness and the why did he use that word and what's going on with his face when and I'm just trying to loop back to some stuff because I'm seeing it all here, and it's like that, and like images are just going boom, 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 and I'm grasping that one, and then I want to talk about that one, and I want to talk about this one, but what was that one, because that felt really important. And that's I think that's the hurriedness that's in our brains. You talked about it at school. I've got you're interrupting. Because you've got stuff to say. It's not because you don't value what the other person's saying. It's like, if I don't say this, it's gone. And right now, this is genius. Like, it's the best thing. Yeah.
Grandiose levels of complete.
Well, yeah.
Oh my god, no, it's do we know? I definitely edit this bit out because otherwise people are going to be like,
no, this is so good.
But there is, and what I'm thinking now is like, there are things that come with it, I guess, which is perhaps a bit of a slightly darker side, which is the elements of shame, where it's kind of like, well, why can't I just...
Timesheets, right? So this is the thing, everybody, how come everyone can do their timesheets and I can't? Like, what sort of child am I? And this just self sort of flagellation that we do. It's like, why can't I do a timesheet? Why can't I figure that fucking thing out? And people just breeze through it. And I'm like, and we put it off and, it's coming and it's Wednesday and you got to do it on Friday. And it's like, geez, how am I going to do this? And you're right, we do. And it's those little things, because we classify the task as being so easy for other people, but actually it's not about the task, it's how we have to turn ourselves to it. It's also about interest. I couldn't give a shit about what I allocated my time to, right? Whatever.
Yeah. But then, and I've had people say like, nobody likes it. So not like people look forward to it and they enjoy it, but I'm like, yeah, but has it stopped you? Like, has this sort of such a severe lack of interest and almost self-sabotaging kind of
procrastination and then freezing.
Has it cost you promotions? Has it cost you jobs? Has it cost you relationships? Has it cost you friendships? Like, that's where it gets to. And I think of course everybody can empathise with procrastinating and leaving things to the last minute and getting a buzz off of adrenaline. Of course everyone can, and being late. But actually, does it actually make you miss flights? Has it cost you loads of money? How expensive is this to you? Because that's the only way that I can say, look, here's what seems to be the difference between ADHD and actually, those kind of all those normal things that it is like to be neurotypical, where you obviously experience these things. Yeah.
Can I just ask you about the flights? Have you ever missed a flight? Yeah, same. Now, when it happened, and it's been kind of recent, did you rise to it? Like, was there a sense of adventure and excitement in it?
Oh my god, yes!
Yeah, I know. So, it was so good. Like, I was like, yes, I'm in my element. Like, how the fuck am I going to sort this? I've got a client who needs me there by this time, and this sort of, what am I going to do? Boom, and it was just like it was like action stations. I loved it, and I'm like, and you get away with it. You get away with it, and you go, like, nailed that. That's so bad.
You don't get rewarded for that.
No.
You don't, even though actually what you have achieved is incredible.
Yeah.
Because I feel good. I'm quite good in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of outdoor sport and everything. Again, it's very now based. It's kind of like,
okay,
weather's changed. Need to make a decision.
Yep.
And going back to what we were saying earlier, can't decide about what book to choose, but I can make a decision in the moment right now. The right one. It has to be.
Yep.
There's no other option. It has to be the right one.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I went to Army Cadets, and it's weird because I'm very much a peace-oriented person now, and it's a different, politically it's a whole different thing. But
sure.
As a teenager, going to cadets, having that real rigid structure, routine, expectation, it's binary, it's this, it's that, and also we're running around a field and cold and wet and you haven't slept and you've got to do this stuff and navigate, using your map. It was great. It was exactly, I just excelled at it. So whilst I was doing really badly in school, I was doing amazingly in cadets. People were saying, she needs to be an officer in the army, she's going to be a credit to a country. And it was like, how can I be these two people? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And, there is something about dealing with a crisis, being in an emergency, being able to think on your feet, making a decision straight away, knowing it's going to be the right one, mostly. So
I'm interested in how your experience of COVID will be completely different here. Like I said before the call, my brother, he's a Kiwi, but he lives in the UK. Has been there for about 20 years, and we're just sort of trading sort of COVID experiences here, and we've got off very lightly by doing some sort of good work early on, sort of thing. And we don't need to get down that, but I'm just thinking about your Sorry.
There's quite a lot of land in between you all, isn't there? There's a lot of space.
Yeah. But also, getting, it's contained at the borders, and we really only have sort of three airports, international airports right now, so we can contain it there in the big cities. So look, there's absolute advantages being in the middle of nowhere, being a long island or series of islands. So we've got. We had some advantages. That's good. What I was thinking is wondering about your experience of COVID, because I can remember putting this LinkedIn post up when COVID hit 18 months ago, and I'm kind of going, everyone's panicking, but I'm like, calm down. Like we're gonna be okay. Like everyone's out there buying toilet paper and flour and all sorts of stuff, and I'm just thinking, I know this is big, but I'm not getting the gravity of things. And I think what that is that we're always in chaos. And so when everyone else is calm, we're in chaos. But when everybody else gets to chaos, they rise to our level and we go, it's not that bad up here, right? Like this. Yeah.
When it all got into lockdown and when there was that real uncertainty, will there be enough toilet paper? Like, will there, won't there? What's going to happen? How long is it going to last? It was kind of like, it's almost like that's where you can, oh my God, there's hair in my mouth, sorry. That's where you can like operate from, you really are in the moment then.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. Everything that's happened in the past isn't relevant because it's unprecedented.
No.
Everything that may happen is just imagination. It may not happen, it may happen. Maybe we'll run out of toilet roll, maybe we won't. Like, if we run out of toilet roll, fine, there's always another way. You're probably wearing a sock. Like, it's fine. We'll be okay. We'll invent something else. Something will happen. So basically all you have is right now. And right now it's like, well, what do I have? And not saying that was like, there were times where it was kind of like oppressive because I'm sure you can relate to this, but like every day I'm doing something. So I'm in a band, like skateboarding, I do sport, I ride a motorcycle, like there are always things happening. I like to do, I sign up to webinars at all times. So there's always something I'm like, oh, I've got to go to this, I've got to go and do this.
Yeah.
So suddenly, and playing gigs all the time as well, that was stopped. So I was just like, just sat with myself, like, so this is awkward and horrible.
Yeah, with all the stuff buzzing on, but you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, and it's dark outside, and I'm not allowed to do anything. I'm really glad that I have my motorcycle because I could ride it. That did help a lot. But yeah, I had work. That was it. So everything else was taken away. And so I struggled. So there was a big fall, like where I crashed, and then started again, like big problem to solve. It's kind of like, right, bring in the therapy. Food has to be extra good. I need to work on my sleep. I need to do this. I need to, what is it? How can I fix this? How can I make it better? Kind of got there. That's what led to the diagnosis as well. Obviously, it was amplified enormously.
Of course.
All of my strategies have gone. My busyness, my compulsive busyness has been taken away from me, and now I'm like sat with myself. And I realised that it needed some attention, and it had been neglected for a long time actually. Yeah. And so I had to get in touch with my inner introvert and understand how I could gain energy from being alone. Yep. And so again, it was a big leveler. I think COVID has amplified many things. Sure. I can't say it's good or bad. It's like the internet. It just is.
No, but it's glass half full, glass half empty, right? You've seen a silver lining and you've gone, okay, there's an opportunity in this. And maybe this is in hindsight that you're talking about this, but I reckon you've also gone, we've got stuff to do and I'm going to do it now, right?
Yeah, and I just don't think it's good or bad. I think it is so many things, and again, it amplifies what's already existing. So if you've got a problem in your company, it will be amplified by COVID because for some reason it just will be. If there's something you're really great at in your business model, it will be amplified by COVID because you'll access it and you'll change your entire business model and you'll thrive. Personally, I found, COVID will amplify the shit that you're hanging on to from like when you were 10 that needs to be sorted out, but you buried it, but it was buried alive. Yep. So it's going to come out. You may not recognize it as that, but it's coming out, right?
100%.
There's time and space in this sort of oppressive energy.
Yeah.
So it's like squeezing a sponge. It's coming out, and you can either catch it and deal with it and move forward, or you employ, denial is a great thing. It keeps you safe. So I've observed people going into denial, sort of default kind of emergency settings, and other people who have really blossomed and come out, people that I've coached have done amazing things despite being afraid at times, despite being uncertain, despite being like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? And taking a risk and going for it. And actually, it's been amazing, and that's, again, it just comes back down to like people are just
Yeah.
weird and awesome.
Weird and awesome. Yeah, they are, eh? And that's what keeps us employed, and ensures that we've got work for decades, which is magic. And I think what you've just summing up, like what you've just talked about, Jodi, is an ADHD trait where you can make something good of any situation, and where you can go. Because I go back to you saying, you don't really get frightened. I have this sense in me that I'm always going to figure something out. Like, it doesn't matter how bad shit gets. Like, I know I'm always going to be okay. And I don't just think that's an inner confidence. I actually think that's a street smarts, just a savvy, maybe a sass. I don't know what you would want to call it, but it's just like, I reckon I can figure some stuff out, and I'll get by in anything. Yeah.
I've experienced that as blind faith.
Blind faith. There you go. Yeah. Because stupidity, right? Like, I'll call it like just ignorance. That's yeah. I'm all about that. If it gets me through, sure.
Belief, right?
Yeah. Totally.
It's an enabling belief, but I do think, like, because I experienced the same thing. I just think, well, no matter what happens, I'll sort it out, whatever it is. But I know that that's not fact. It's not verifiably true, because, again, it's a future prediction.
Yeah.
And it is a belief, but it's deeper than that. So I feel like it is a faith.
Yeah.
And it is blind, not in a way that is a negative thing. It's blind because it's actually not. I mean, it is based on perhaps previous evidence, but it is an innate faith. It's like
yes, it is.
It's unbreakable. It's like, it's gonna be okay.
Well, part of it for me, totally. No, that's right. So there's an innate faith in that, and in yourself, to be able to figure some stuff out, or do something, or react, or respond. But also, I have no risk register. Like, I've got very little appreciation of consequences. So it's like, and so I don't have to worry about that. Like, there's other people who are worrying about that stuff, and I'm like, I can just carry on. It's like, okay, you meddle with that stuff or get all worried about some things, and that's gonna see you slow down, get caught out, get left behind, whatever it is. But like, I'm off. If you want to come along, here we go. Let's do it. Because it's going to be great. Like, regardless.
And I do identify with that as well. I also, what I was thinking about then is that it does pendulum into there, and in the realm of things that can go wrong when you have no fear of consequence and you make the same mistakes again and again and again. You don't learn. And you're going, but we've talked about this. Something happened, and I'm going, I wish I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Because it's so inevitable that it happened, and now I care about the consequence, but before it didn't. And so again, there is that. There always seems to be this polarity of, like,
for sure.
Everything that's great that happens, and then everything that's shit that happens. And so I love, like, seeing the whole, like, neurodiversity is like, this is actually where thinking like this can make your business a lot of money, and it could be harnessed and unleashed and on stuff, and the creativity and the enthusiasm and resilience and all the great things that come with it. But equally, I can't ignore it's so easy to be sort of, all the good stuff, and then it's actually like, but there is this load, and not wanting to dwell on it too much, but it is like,
it's real.
It is,
So it's the well, that's right. It's the beating yourself up of, why didn't I think of those things, or why didn't, and then it's the added weight of someone brought that to my attention, and I feel like I've let them down as well, and so you're beating yourself up as well as thinking, shit, like, that's someone that I love or respect, and they just think I'm a fucking idiot, because I couldn't do something that's really, really simple,
or I was late again, and I said I did it on time, and I really, really value being on time, and I didn't do it, and then maybe, and you're sort of thinking again, it's like, there is a conflict, it is a sort of a bit of a battle, I think, sometimes.
Jodi, speaking of late, I have taken up so much of your time, and I reckon, like, we're going to carve this up.
I literally thought it was going to be 9 o'clock. I have probably taken your time as well.
It's all good. No, this is magic. Like, seriously, this has been amazing. You've been not only a heap of fun, you've been really insightful. So I think listeners are going to get so much out of this. You're super relatable. I love your, I was going to say vulnerability, but it's not even that. Like, you're just real, yeah? And that's what...
I'll take vulnerable, that's cool.
Okay, cool.
I do feel feel a bit cringy about. I was thinking, oh my god, I wonder if I'm going to watch this back. And I think, no, definitely not. It's way too cringy.
Oh, no.
And I think if it's cringy, then you've been authentic. So I hope this is useful. And I really hope if one person gets something out of this, then great. And I also
Heaps of people will
talk to you because I feel like, honestly, we're somehow like related or something.
Yeah, I know.
It's quite weird. It's like,
Yeah.
especially what you think about Comic Sans. I've always said about comic, and I have to say this now because otherwise people are going to look at your website and go, "Oh, Jodi never had that original thought because she obviously stole it off Callum." But I honestly think Comic Sans is great, and it's such a controversial point, and people only say they hate it because they've heard other people say it. Like,
Correct. Yeah.
And I really care about it as well.
Yeah, I know, because poor Comic Sans. Like, think of the goodness that came out of the person who designed that and go, I'm solving a problem here. Like, this is something that actually works, and everyone shits on it for decades. Yeah. And you just go, hang on, like it's great, it's cool, it works. It was relatively unique. There's sort of some spin-offs, but that's why I had to put that at the footer of my website. That people don't hate it as much as they say. It's not a big deal.
Well, they need to think, because I'm like, what is it exactly that you hate about it? And then people don't have answers. I promise I'll stop talking after this. I think what people hate is when Comic Sans is used in inappropriate contexts, right? So I don't know, using the font in the wrong place. But I challenge any designer, because I think, imagine how much of a great designer you would be to use Comic Sans in a piece of work and in a way that works.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You've got to be shit hot. So challenge goes out there to designers, use Comic Sans, because anyone can use Times New Roman, right?
Correct. Boring, right? Like, be different. Yeah. Like, harness something go against the trend
and get away with it and be credible with it.
Yeah. We collectively, right across the globe, we challenge you. Use Comic Sans and see what you can get away with.
Totally, right? Put Comic Sans on your business card, but do it in a way that works.
Yeah. Yep.
It will start a conversation anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I love it. Look, we're gonna definitely. Well, no, thank you. We're gonna get you back in a few months' time. And look, all the best with the new gig with your culture role, and all the best for the house move. I hope that goes well. Stay in touch. We're definitely getting you back. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for being you and real, and for adding so much value to everybody who's going to be listening to this. We're going to carve this up into multiple episodes, I reckon, and release them at different dates, because it's so good. I really do want to keep talking, but I'm conscious that we've had a whole lot of your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thanks for the email. I have been admiring your stuff on LinkedIn from afar.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate you listening and asking questions. It does feel like kind of scary, but equally really validating as well. So I really appreciate this opportunity. So thank you so much. You are very welcome. It would be great to learn more about you in another conversation at another time. It would be, because I know you're in the HR world, and we're in similar things, so it'd be great in some other contexts to look at some worky stuff as well. Yeah, cool. All right. How can people get hold of you if you ever wanted them to, or look you up, or sniff out some work, or whatever? Like, how can people find you? The Culture Club. The Culture Club. Just need to Google that. Yeah, I don't know. That's the agency that I'll be working at. Okay. But I don't know. God, what's the answer there? LinkedIn? Yes. You don't mind people hitting you up on LinkedIn? Not at all. All right. That's fine. Good stuff. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Jodi Venton Harvey, thank you so much. Well, there you have it. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the You, Me and ADHD podcast. My hope is that it's been worth your time, of some value, that it's been interesting or even enlightening. Perhaps. Hey, if nothing else, I hope it's been entertaining. I really appreciate you showing up. You see, I really want to do some serious damage to the stigma and stereotype that ADHD is bad, that it's wrong, and that those of us born with ADHD brains are somehow broken.
because we're none of those things. And you can help with this too. If you were to like, comment, or even share a link to any one of these episodes or the entire podcast just to one person, I'll be a happy little ADHD camper. And I love camping. I do. So thanks for stopping by. I hope to see you soon. Stay in touch. Get in touch in any way you feel the need, and I look forward to chatting. Until then, peace, love, and heaps of impulsivity. Take care. Bye.